My relatives brushed me off when I told them I relocated to Arizona. 10 months later, Mom phoned screaming, "Why didn't you tell us?" I said, "I did 6 times." Can you imagine telling your family you're moving across the country, not once, not twice, but 6 different times, only for them to completely ignore you? I spent years feeling invisible to the people who were supposed to love me most. But it took moving 1,000 miles away for them to finally notice my absence. And believe me, the way they found out was something I'll never forget. My name's Max, and I'm a software engineer. And for most of my life, I was the forgettable middle kid. I don't mean that dramatically. I mean it literally. When I was 12, my family went to Disneyland. They were halfway through the day before they even realized I wasn't with them. I'd been sitting alone near Splash Mountain for 45 minutes. When they finally found me, my mom just asked, "Why didn't you keep up?" When I graduated high school, they showed up 20 minutes late. I missed my name being called. We ended up taking photos with my sister, Emily, who'd graduated 3 years earlier but was there to support me. When I moved into my first apartment at 23, I invited them over for dinner. They cancelled at the last minute. Emily needed help moving a sofa. I spent that night eating spaghetti alone, staring at a table set for 5. So, when I announced I was relocating to a new state, I really shouldn't have been surprised by the lack of response. But still, it stung. The first time I told them was during Easter supper. I was passing the ham, trying to sound casual, so I got a job offer in Phoenix for a software engineering position. It's a great opportunity, and I'm thinking about taking it. My mom was on the phone. Dad was watching baseball highlights. Emily was feeding her kid mashed potatoes. "That's nice, honey," Mom replied, not even looking up. I waited. Surely, someone would ask a follow-up question. Where in Phoenix? When would I start? How much would they pay? Nothing. Dad clapped at something on TV. Emily wiped applesauce off her daughter's face. Mom kept scrolling. I may as well have announced I was thinking about getting a haircut. That was it. No questions, no curiosity, just a dismissive, "That's lovely, honey," and back to scrolling. 3 weeks later, on Mom's birthday, I tried again. We were enjoying cake. So, I took the position in Phoenix. I'll be relocating in June, probably mid-month. Dad sliced the cake. "Phoenix," he mumbled. "It's scorching hot there." "Yeah, but the pay's great, and I'm ready for a change." "That is excellent, son." I waited again, hoping for something. Anything. "How far is Phoenix?" I prompted, like, flying distance. "Oh, I don't know," Dad said, mouthful of cake. "About 4 hours if you drive," I supplied. "But yeah, flying is shorter." "Am I?" He nodded, then looked past me to Emily, who was showing Mom something on her phone. Conversation over. He took another mouthful of cake and started talking to Emily about her son's baseball team. I just sat there, fork in hand, wondering if anyone had even heard me, or if I'd simply become the human version of elevator music. Present, but utterly unimportant. The third time was over a family barbecue during Memorial Day weekend. I was helping Dad grill burgers. So, I'm signing the lease in Phoenix this week. Moving trucks are scheduled for June 18th. "Good for you," he answered, flipping a burger. "Yeah, it's a 1-bedroom in Scottsdale, near some great hiking trails." "That sounds good." I tried once more. "I'll need to drive out there, probably a 2-day trip. Leave early. Stop in New Mexico. Be careful on the desert roads. Lots of speeders." That was it. "No, we'll miss you." "No, that's a huge move." "Or let us know if you need help packing." Just, "Sounds good," and a warning about speeding. My brother, Ryan, walked by, drink in hand. "Hey, can someone help me move my gaming setup upstairs later?" "I got you," Dad said, instantly. I stood there, tongs in hand, feeling the crushing weight of my invisibility. The fourth time was more straightforward. A family group text, June 12th, me. Hello everyone. Final reminder, I'm relocating to Phoenix next weekend. The new address will be 2847 Desert View Lane, Scottsdale, Arizona, 85251. Please let me know if you need anything before I depart. I watched the conversation. Emily shared a snapshot of her son's painting. 2 hours later, Mom responded to it with a heart emoji. Ryan sent a pizza meme. My message? Nothing. Not a single reply, not even a thumbs up. It just sat there, unread by most, ignored by all. I took a screenshot. Not sure why. Maybe I just knew I'd need proof someday. The 5th time was the day before my departure, June 17th. I went by the house to say goodbye. Mom was in the kitchen. Dad was in the garage. Ryan was upstairs gaming. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, I told Mom. All the trucks are packed. She was making a grocery list. Oh, that's tomorrow. Have a safe trip, honey. Yeah, it's a long drive. Probably 2 days. Drink lots of water. I waited, hoping she'd glance up, hoping she'd ask where I was staying on the drive, or just hug me. She added milk to her list. Okay, well, I guess this is it. Drive safely, honey. That was it. No hug. No, we'll miss you. No family gathering to send me off. Just remember to drink lots of water. I stepped outside to my pickup. Dad was sorting tools. I'm leaving tomorrow, Dad. Yep. Good luck out there. Thanks. He went back to his tools. I sat in my truck for a full minute, staring at the home I grew up in. I was leaving, and I knew nobody was going to stop me. Nobody was going to say they'd miss me, because they wouldn't. I departed the next morning at 6 a.m., alone. I drove 16 hours to Arizona with only a podcast playlist and the dawning realization that I could probably just disappear without anyone ever noticing. Turns out, I was right. My first month in Phoenix was a whirlwind of unpacking, learning a new job, and getting used to the heat. I shared a couple of pictures on the family group chat. My new apartment, a sunset over Camelback Mountain, a photo of me hiking. No replies. Not even a nice view, or a thumbs up emoji. I gave up trying after that. By month 4, I'd settled in. I'd made a few friends at work, started hiking every weekend, joined a climbing gym, and found my favorite taco spot. My coworker, Sarah, asked me one day, "You talk to your family much?" Not really. They know you moved. I told them. They didn't listen. She chuckled, thinking I was kidding. I wasn't. I didn't call home. I didn't text. I didn't reach out. And nobody reached out to me. Not for my birthday in July. Not for Thanksgiving. Not for Christmas. Complete silence. It was like I never existed. And honestly, it felt liberating. No more guilt trips about missed events. No more last-minute favors. No more being the neglected middle kid at family dinners. It was just me, my new life, and the desert heat. In month 7, I received a text from Emily. "Hey, Max, can you pick up Mom's medication tomorrow? She's out of refills, and the pharmacy closes early." I stayed at the message, read it 3 times. Me, I am in Arizona. 3 dots appeared, stopped, and reappeared. Emily, what? Me, I relocated to Arizona 7 months ago. I told everyone several times. Emily, oh, I assumed you were joking. Me, Emily, why would I make that joke? Anyway, can anyone else get it? Emily, did you ask Ryan? She didn't respond. I put down my phone and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so completely on brand. 7 months. 7 months of living in a different state, and my sister assumed I was kidding. Month 10. No calls, no messages, no check-ins. I celebrated Thanksgiving with coworkers, Christmas with a friend's family, and New Year's alone on a hiking trail, watching the sunrise. It was serene. Sometimes it felt lonely, but it was calm. I shared a photo on Instagram, me at the Grand Canyon. Caption, year-end adventures. Emily liked it. I didn't comment. Mom didn't notice. I wondered if they'd notice if I'd just stopped posting, appearing online, or trying. Probably not. Month 18. I received the call. It was Tuesday, March 15th. It had been exactly 10 months since I moved. Mom called, which was unusual. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hello, Maximum. Where are you now? At home. Why? You missed Emily's daughter's birthday party yet again. Again? Yes. You've missed every single family gathering over the last year. Every birthday, holiday, and barbecue. We haven't seen you. What's up with you? I sat down on my couch and took a deep breath. Mom, I moved to Arizona. Silence. What? I moved to Arizona a year ago. I told you several times. No, you did not. Yes, I did. I told you during Easter, on your birthday, and at the Memorial Day cookout. I sent a group text with my new address. I told you the day before I left. More silence. I don't recall that. I understand, Mom, because you weren't listening. Maximum. That's hardly fair, is it? I told you 6 times I was moving to a different state, and you don't recall anything. You should have made it clearer. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. How much clearer can I get? I literally gave you my new address. You could have called or visited. Let us know you were serious. I did call. I did tell you. You just didn't care enough to remember. That is not true. Mom, I have been gone for 10 months, a full year, and you didn't notice until it became inconvenient. It's not because you missed me. It's because it was inconvenient. Max, I need to go. Wait. I hung up, sat there, staring at my phone. 1 year. A full year spent living in a different state. They didn't realize it until it touched them. That explained everything I needed to know. Emily called 10 minutes later. Did you really move to Arizona? Yes. Why didn't you tell anybody? I did. 6 times. Nobody listened. Well, I don't recall that. I know you weren't paying attention, Emily. That's not fair. We've been busy. You know how hectic things are with the kids. It's been a year, Emily. You had time to post 50 photos of your children on Facebook, but you didn't notice I moved to a different state. That's different. How? She didn't respond. I have to go, I said. Mom's pretty upset. Good. Maybe now she'll pay attention. I hung up, and for the first time in 10 months, I felt vindicated. Because I'd always worried if my family would notice if I disappeared. Now, I knew they wouldn't. Not until it inconvenienced them. The calls started instantly. Dad called less than an hour after Emily hung up. I let it ring. I saw his name flash across my screen 3 times before it went to voicemail. Max, this is Dad. Your mother is very unhappy. Call us back so we can discuss this like adults. Like grown-ups. As if I were being childish. I erased the voicemail. Ryan followed up with a text. Ryan, bro, did you move to Arizona? Me, yep. Ryan, when? Me, 10 months ago. Ryan, why didn't you say anything? Me, I did. Several times. You were playing Fortnite. Ryan, oh. That was it. Oh. No apology. No acknowledgement. Oh, as if I'd said I got a haircut. Not that I'd moved to a new state. That night, Mom called again. I almost didn't answer, but I figured I'd better get it over with. Hello, Maximum. I've been thinking about our chat earlier. Okay. And I think you're being quite unjust. I closed my eyes. How am I being unfair? You're acting as if we don't care that you moved. But we did. We just didn't understand. You hadn't followed through. Since you didn't listen, Mom. We were listening. You just weren't clear. Mom, I texted you my new address. How much clearer can I get? Well, we receive a lot of messages. We can't be expected to recall every single one. It wasn't a single message. 6 distinct conversations over a 4-month period. I can't recall 6 conversations. I understand what the problem is. Silence. Then your sister is quite upset since you didn't inform her. I told her. She doesn't remember. That's not my fault. Max, why are you making this so difficult? I laughed. Actually laughed. I'm being difficult? I moved to another state and no one noticed for a year, yet I'm the problematic one. You might have made more of an effort to keep in touch. I emailed photos. I sent texts. I shared on social media. You disregarded everything. We did not disregard it. Mom, you didn't even wish me a happy birthday. Silence. When was your birthday? July 17th, months following my move. More silence. Okay, we must have texted you. You did not. Are you certain? Yes, Mom. I am sure. She breathed, annoyed. Okay, we forgot one birthday. That's not to say we don't care about you. It was not a single birthday. It has been every birthday, Christmas, and holiday for years. That is not true. Mom, when was the last time you called to ask how I was doing? She didn't respond. Exactly. I'm a busy person, Max. I've got a lot going on. So do I. And I still managed to inform you 6 times that I was relocating. Why are you acting so hostile? I am not being hostile. I am being honest. It feels unfriendly. I took a breath, trying to stay cool. Mom, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just trying to make it clear that I've been invisible to this family for a long time. And relocating to Arizona didn't change that. It just made it plain. You are not invisible. So why didn't you realize I was gone? She didn't have a response. I have to leave, I said. Max, please wait. I hung up, sat on my couch, looking at the wall. Part of me felt guilty. Part of me felt furious. And part of me simply felt exhausted. But overall, I felt pleased that I had finally said what I'd been thinking for years. And it felt great. The next morning, I received a lengthy text from Emily. Emily, maximum. I do not like you making Mom weep. She's quite unhappy, and it's because you're overly theatrical about the whole affair. Yes, we didn't notice you had relocated, but that's not a crime. We lead busy lives with children, careers, and obligations. We cannot keep track of everything. You're behaving as if we abandoned you, while in reality you just departed without saying goodbye. That's on you, not us. If you wanted us to make a big issue about it, you should have done it yourself. Please do not blame us for your lack of communication. I reread it 3 times. Then I typed, me. I told you 6 times. I gave you my address. I emailed photos. I sent a text. I called. I did everything but go up to your house with a megaphone. But yes, it is my lack of communication. Emily, you are being foolish. You and I are being defensive because we both know I am correct. Emily, whatever. Max, enjoy Arizona. I hope it is worth losing your family over. Me. I didn't lose my family. They just never realized I was a part of it in the first place. She didn't react. I blocked her phone number, not because I was angry, but out of self-preservation. I knew if I didn't, she'd keep messaging, keep guilt-tripping, keep making me feel like I was the problem. And I was finished being the problem. 2 days later, Dad called. This time, I answered. Hey, Dad. Max, we need to talk. Okay. Your mother is very hurt. She's been crying for 2 days. I'm sorry she's upset. Are you? Because it doesn't seem like it. I'm sorry she's upset. I'm not sorry for telling the truth. He sighed. Look, I get it. You feel like we didn't pay enough attention to your move, but you have to understand. We've had a lot going on. Emily's kids, Ryan's job search, your mother's book club. Life gets busy. I know life gets busy, but I told you 6 times, Dad. How many times does someone have to tell you they're moving to a different state before you remember? It's not about remembering, it's about priorities. That landed like a punch. What? I said what I said. We have priorities, and sometimes Satan things take precedence. So, I'm not a priority. That's not what I said. That's exactly what you said, Max. Don't twist my words. I'm not twisting anything. You just admitted that I'm not a priority in this family. Look, you're taking this wrong. How should I take it? Silence. Dad, I'm not sure what you want me to say. Max, I want you to apologize, to admit that you should have paid more attention, and to acknowledge that I told you I was moving and you didn't care enough to remember. That's not fair. Yes, it is. He exhaled, heavy and frustrated. Fine. I'm sorry. I should have paid more attention. Is that what you want to hear? Only if you mean it. I do. Do you? Yes, maximum. I'm sorry. We should have been better. We should have listened. We should have made you feel like you mattered. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, feeling something crack inside me. Thank you, I said quietly. So, can we move on from this now? I'm not sure. What do you mean you don't know? I mean, an apology is a start, but it doesn't fix years of being ignored. What do you want from us? I want you to care. Not just say it, but to show it. How? By checking in, asking how I'm doing, remembering important things I tell you, and treating me like I'm a member of the family, rather than an afterthought. We can do that. Can you? Yes. Okay, we'll see. We hung up, and I sat there, staring at my phone. It was the most honest conversation I'd ever had with my father, and I had no idea if anything would actually change. A week later, Mom sent me a friend request on Facebook, which I accepted after staring at it for a full day. Emily unblocked me 2 weeks later and texted, "Hey, Maximum. Emily, I'm sorry for what I said." She liked 3 of my old Arizona pictures, none of which she'd seen before, and commented on one, "Beautiful view. Glad you're doing well." I didn't react. I was defensive, and I shouldn't have been. You were right. We should have noticed, and I should have noticed. I'm sorry. Thank you. Emily, are we okay? I don't know yet, but we can work on it. Emily, Faye. It wasn't much, but it was something. A month after the big confrontation, Ryan called. "Hey, man, just wanted to say sorry." For what? For not noticing you moved, and for everything else. Everything else. Yeah, I know. I've been a bad brother, always asking for things and never checking in. I'm working on it. Are you really? Or are you just saying that because Mom told you to? Both, honestly, but I mean it. I want to be better. Okay, we'll see. That's Faye. We spoke for another 10 minutes about nothing essential, just small talk. But it was the longest discussion we'd had in years. For months after I told my family I lived in Arizona, things had changed. Not fixed, but different. Mom texted me once a week, usually just saying, "How are you?" or "Thinking of you." Small, but steady. Dad called every other Sunday, and we talked about work, the weather, and hiking. He actually called. Emily sent photos of her kids, asked about my life, and actually listened when I responded. Ryan sent memes, stupid random memes, but it was his way of reaching out. I hadn't forgiven them yet, but I was willing to try, because maybe, just maybe, they were finally seeing me. And that was enough, for now. 7 months after the confrontation, Mom asked if she could visit. The text came on a Thursday afternoon. "Max, I'd really like to see where you live. Would it be okay if Dad and I came to visit? We could stay at a hotel for the weekend." I stared at the message for 20 minutes. Part of me wanted to say no, to maintain the distance, to protect the peace I'd built. But another part of me The part that had spent years wanting them to care, wanted to say yes. Me, when were you thinking? Mom, next month, the first weekend. Me, okay, let me know the dates, and I'll make sure I'm available. Mom, thank you, honey. This means a lot. I set my phone down and took a deep breath. They were coming to Arizona. To see my life. To see the place I'd been living for a year and a half that they'd never even asked about. Better late than never, I suppose. They arrived on a Friday evening in October. I picked them up from the airport. Mom hugged me tightly. Dad shook my hand and then pulled me into an awkward side hug. You look good, Mom said. Healthy. Thanks. Arizona agrees with me. We went to their hotel in Scottsdale. Mom asked about the desert. Dad commented on the heat. Small talk. Safe talk. I dropped them off and told them I'd pick them up for dinner at 7 o'clock. Can we visit your place first? Mom asked. Let's just eat tomorrow night. Okay. Dinner was odd. We went to a Mexican restaurant I liked. Mom ordered a margarita. Dad got a beer. I got water. So, Dad said, cutting into his burrito, how's work? Good. Really good. Actually, I got promoted last month to senior developer. That's great, son. Congratulations. Thanks. Mom smiled. We're so proud of you. I just nodded. Didn't know what to say. Do you have friends out here? She asked. Yeah, a few from work, and some people I met hiking. That's good. We were worried you'd be lonely. I'm not lonely. I'm actually happier here than I was back home. That landed heavy. Mom looked down at her plate. Dad took a long drink of beer. We're glad you're happy, Dad finally said. Are you? He looked at me. Yes, we are. Even though I had to relocate to a different state to feel like I mattered. Mom's eyes welled up. Max, I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm just being honest. We know we messed up, she said quietly. We know we didn't pay enough attention. We're trying to do better. I understand, and I appreciate it, but it will take time. We finished dinner, talked about safer things. Emily's kids. Ryan's new job at a marketing firm. Mom's book club. It was fine. Not great, but fine. The next morning, I took them to my apartment, which was small, 1 bedroom, clean, with minimal furniture. But it was mine. Mom walked slowly through, looking at the photos on my wall, the books on my shelf, the hiking gear in the corner. It's nice, honey. Really nice. Thank you. Dad stood by the window. Good view. Yeah, I can see the mountains from here. Mom sat on my couch. Do you have everything you need? Yeah, I'm good. Because if you need anything, Mom, I'm good. I promise. She nodded and smiled, but I could tell she was trying not to cry. What? I asked. I just miss so much. A whole year of your life, and I'll never get that back. I sat down next to her. No, you won't. I'm sorry, Maximum. I'm so sorry. I know. She wiped her eyes. Can you forgive us? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I'm working on it, but I'm not there yet. That's fair. We spent the day ascending Camelback Mountain, eating lunch in Old Town Scottsdale, and driving across the desert. It was the most time I'd spent with my folks in years, and it wasn't too bad. We didn't discuss much about the past, instead focusing on the present, the vistas, the food, the heat. Dad commented once, I can see why you like it here. Yeah, I said. It's peaceful. It feels like you can breathe. That's exactly why I moved. He nodded and didn't say anything else, but I could see he understood. That night, we had supper at my favorite taco place. Mom talked about my hiking adventures while Dad asked about work projects. They actually listened when I answered. It felt different, like they were really trying. As we were leaving, Mom hugged me again. Thank you for allowing us to visit. Of course. Can we come back? Maybe in a few months. I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, we can make that work. She smiled. Relief washed over her face. They flew home the next morning. I drove them to the airport. Mom cried a little when we said goodbye. Dad hugged me longer than usual. We love you, son. I love you, too, Dad. And I meant it, even after everything. Even after the years of being forgotten. Even after the pain. I still loved them. I just didn't trust them yet. A week later, I received a package from Mom, a framed photo of us at Camelback Mountain. All three of us smiling, with the desert in the background. There was a note. Thank you for the best weekend we've had in years. We're so proud of the life you've built. Love, Mom and Dad. I put the photo on my shelf, next to pictures of my friends, hiking trips, and my new life. It didn't erase the past, but it was a step forward. 4 months later, Christmas arrived. Mom called. We're having Christmas at the house. Will you come? I'm not sure, Mom. Please, Maximum. It wouldn't be the same without you. You had Christmas without me last year. You didn't even notice I wasn't there. I know, and that was wrong. But we're asking now, please. I thought about it. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking. 2 weeks later, I booked a flight. Not because I'd forgiven everything, but because I was willing to try. On Christmas morning, I walked into my parents' house for the first time in nearly 3 years. Emily was there with her children. Ryan was there with his new fiancé. Mom was making breakfast. And Dad was putting up the tree. When I walked in, everything came to a halt. Emily ran over and hugged me. You came? Yeah, I came. Ryan high-fived me. Good to see you, man. Mom came out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She saw me, froze, then started crying. Hello, Mom. She walked over and hugged me tight, as if she was afraid I'd disappear again. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, too. Dad came over, shook my hand, and pulled me into a real hug, not a side hug. Welcome home, son. Home. It was strange hearing that word, because Arizona felt like home now. But this felt like family. And maybe that was enough. We spent Christmas Day together, opening presents, eating too much food, and watching movies. Emily showed me videos of her kids. Ryan talked about his job. Mom asked about Arizona. And Dad asked about Hawaii. Having you here, it feels right. It feels like we're a family again. We're working on it. I know. And I'm grateful you're giving us the chance. I nodded. I'm trying, Mom. I really am. I know, honey. And that's all I can ask for. That night, before I flew back to Arizona, Dad walked me to my rental car. Are you leaving early tomorrow? Yeah. Flight's at 9 o'clock. He nodded, hands in his pockets. Listen, I know things have been complicated, but I want you to know something. I'm proud of you, for standing up for yourself, for building a life on your own, and for being brave enough to leave when necessary. I looked at him. Really? Really? A lot of people wouldn't have done that. They would have stayed and been miserable. But you chose to leave. That takes guts. Thanks, Dad. I mean it. And I'm sorry we didn't see it sooner. We should have. Yeah, you should have. He smiled. Sad, but genuine. We'll do better. I promise. I hope so. We hugged. And for the first time in years, it didn't feel forced. It felt real. I flew back to Arizona the next morning, and as the plane took off, I looked out the window at the city below, the place I grew up, the place I'd left, and realized something. I didn't need them to fix everything. I didn't need a perfect apology or tearful reunion. I just needed them to try, and they were trying. That was enough, for the time being. 3 years after I moved to Arizona, my life had changed dramatically. I'd been promoted twice to senior lead developer, and my team respected me. My boss valued my input, and I had a voice that people actually heard. I bought my first home, a small 2-bedroom house with a yard and a mountain view. I sent a photo to the family group chat. Mom, congratulations, honey. So proud of you. Emily, beautiful house. When can we visit? Ryan, sick place, bro. Dad, well done, son. I received 4 positive responses within an hour. It was such a small thing, but it meant everything. That spring, Mom started calling every Sunday. Not to ask for anything, not to guilt me about missing events, but just to talk. How was your week? Good. We launched a new feature at work. Went hiking on Saturday. Where did you hike? Superstition Mountains. Really beautiful trail. Dad began texting me articles about hiking, Arizona, and technology. Nothing deep. Just thought you'd find them interesting. And I did. I sent photos, and she responded. It became a routine. Sunday morning coffee, Mom's call, 20 minutes of actual conversation. It was his way of saying, I'm thinking about you. And it worked. Emily invited me to her daughter's birthday party. Max, I know it's far, but if you can make it, we'd love to have you. And if you can't, we completely understand. No guilt, no pressure, just an invitation. Me, I'll try to make it work. I booked a flight. I flew back for the weekend. When I arrived at the party, Emily hugged me like I was a soldier returning from war. You came. Yeah, I came. You invited me. I know, but I didn't expect it. I'm just really glad you're here. Her kids ran up to me, Uncle Max. They barely knew me, but they were excited anyway. I spent the afternoon playing games with them, eating cake, and taking photos. Emily pulled me aside at one point and said, Thank you for coming. I know it's not easy, but it's getting easier. Good, because we missed you. I missed you, too. Ryan came to visit me in Arizona that summer. Just him. No parents. No girlfriend. Just my brother. When he called, he said, I need a break. Can I stay with you for a week? Of course. He flew out, and I picked him up from the airport. We hiked. We ate. We sat on my back porch, sipping beer and watching the sunset. On the 3rd night, he said something that astonished me. I'm sorry. I was such a bad brother. You've already apologized. I know, but I don't think I really got it until now. Coming out here, seeing your life, realizing you built all of this without us, without me. You were dealing with your own issues. That's not an excuse. I should have paid attention. I should have noticed when you left. I don't know. It could have been better. I looked at him. You are acting better now, aren't you? You flew out here. You're sitting on my porch, and you're having this conversation. That's better. He nodded and took a sip of beer. I like it here. I understand why you stayed. It's peaceful. It's more than that. It's like you can breathe here, you know? Yeah, I know. We sat in silence for a while. Comfortable silence. Can I come back? He asked. Not to move in. Just to visit. Mom cooked breakfast. Dad helped me fix a leaky faucet. We went to a D-backs game, explored Sedona, sat on the porch and talked. Real conversations about life, work, and everything. Dad once said, You know, I think leaving was the best thing you ever did. Really? Yeah. You needed space. We needed a wake-up call. Everyone won. Doesn't feel like winning sometimes. But you're happy, and we're better. That's a win in my book. Mom nodded. He's right. We're better parents now. I didn't want to force anything. I just left, and that was enough. She remarked, Sometimes people need to lose something before they know what it's worth. I asked her, And what am I worth? Everything, she said without hesitation. You're worth everything. I felt something crack inside me, something I'd been holding onto for years. Forgiveness, perhaps, or just letting go. Thank you, I said quietly. No, thank you for giving us another chance. 3 years after I moved to Arizona, I got a promotion that required relocation to Seattle. I called Mom first. Hey, Mom. Hello, honey. How are you? Good. I have news. I think it's good news. Oh. So, I got offered a VP position, but it's in Seattle. Seattle? Wow, that's amazing. Honey, congratulations. Thanks. I'm thinking about taking it. You should. That's a huge opportunity. You're not upset. Why would I be upset? Because I just got settled in Arizona, and now I'm leaving again. She laughed. Max, you're an adult. You go where your career takes you. We'll visit. You'll visit. It'll be fine. Really? Really? We're proud of you, no matter where you are. I smiled. Thank you, Mom. When do you leave? 2 months. Okay. We'll come out before you leave. One last Arizona trip. I'd like that. They came. We hiked. We ate. We said goodbye. This time was different. There were hugs, tears, and promises to stay in touch. Call me when you get there, Mom said. And send photos of your new place. I will. Dad handed me an envelope to open later, which I did on the plane to Seattle. Inside was a card and a $5,000 check, which said, "For your new adventure. We are proud of you. Love, Mom and Dad." I stayed at it for a long time, not because of the money, but because it was the first time they'd ever supported one of my moves. Not with words, but with action. 6 months into Seattle, I received a text from Emily. Max, the family group chat, is planning a reunion this summer. Arizona, at your old house, is the meeting spot. Would you come? Me, my old house. Emily, the family wants to rent it for a week. See where you lived, hike the trails you loved, experience what you experienced. Me, that's actually really nice, Emily. Emily, so, you'll come? Me, yeah, I'll come. That summer, we all met in Arizona. Mom, Dad, Emily and her family, Ryan and his now fiancé. We hiked Camelback, ate at my favorite taco place, watched the sunset from my old porch. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was a part of the family. Not an afterthought, not invisible, but just there, present. Ryan raised his beer. Everyone, a toast to Maximum, for moving to Arizona, for forcing us to get our act together, and for not giving up on us. I smiled and raised mine, to second chances. Later that night, I sat on the porch with Mom. This place is special, she said. I get why you loved it here. No, you saved yourself. This place just gave you the space to do so. I nodded. Maybe. I'm sorry we didn't notice you while you were standing right in front of us. Do you forgive us? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Yeah, I said. I do. She began weeping. Thank you. But Mom. Yeah. If you ever stop seeing me again, I'm moving to Alaska. She chuckled through tears. Deal. I was standing in my Seattle apartment 5 years after moving to Arizona, looking at the photos on my wall. Arizona sunsets, family dinners, hiking trips, group photos. My phone rang. Sunday morning, right on time. Hey, Mom. Hi, honey. How was your week? Good. Really good. We talked for 30 minutes about work, about life, about nothing important. And when we hung up, I smiled, because I'd spent years being invisible. But now, I was seen, and that made all the difference. Have you ever felt truly invisible to the people who were supposed to care the most? Or maybe you've had to make a tough decision to prioritize yourself, even if it meant difficult conversations with family. I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments below. Let's talk about it.